You are listening to the voices of the Occultinarium. Get ready to get sidetracked, for things get weird here. Welcome.
Good evening and welcome to our episode of the Occultinarium. We are the voices of the Occultinarium, and today's hosts are
Adriana, la colombiana.
Luigi, sei italiano.
Amelie, European.
Lynn, Universal. We just had to
Just had to escalate it.
had to escalate it. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about transitioning from 2025 to 26 and the calendar year.
Yeah,
Take it away.
I thought the nice thing to start with, I think, would be to see if we all actually follow the normal calendar going from 2025 to 26, or do we follow like any other times when we feel like the new year hits? Or like it would be really interesting to see how everyone is feeling about that, and obviously what we do. I don't know who would like to start. Maybe Adriana.
Oh God! Well, to me, I more is the curiosity, the fascinating things as the traditions and the cultures. Different cultures celebrate New Year in different times. Now here in February is the Chinese, but like October, it was the Jewish calendar as well. That is 3,000 whatever years. So when I'm wearing the hat for the Kabbalah, so I say Happy New Year to the Hebrews and Jewish. Christians, well, of course, the traditional Christians is December. January is the calendar that we have. The Chinese is fascinating as well. I love the concept that they use because it's a 12-year cycle, so not 12 months. That is, for me, that's make it fascinating. Now we are in Ramadan as well, but it's a cycle of renovation and changing and so on. So every culture, has a belief or a certain meaning of change and cycles and rebirth. And that's what I found fascinating. To me, the new year for me is my birthday, because to me is really the only day that matters is, every time that I remember, it's a celebration of how many years I had been on planet Earth. Doesn't say anything else. The number, whatever, does not matter, to the point that it's just a celebration of how many years I have been on planet Earth. So for me, yes, it's my birthday, but again, I love celebrating. I love to say Happy New Year to every culture that I found.
Just out of curiosity, when is your birthday? So we know like what time of what season that would be.
May, isn't it?
Lynn and I, we are Taurus,
Yeah.
both of us. So mine is May the 6th, and I will be 60 this year. So the Chinese, to me, is the fire horse and is my year. So for that, I am so enthusiastically, celebrating the year of the horse in this month. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's so many New Years to like keep track of.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that the collective psychic that influence the matrix where we are living in, influence even those who are not of the culture or who are not born in China, so we don't follow. But there are archetypes and there are things or energies that are transitioning right now, that you feel it, and you feel like there is a shift, a change in the air. So then they say, oh no, the Chinese go to the Chinatown to celebrate or whatever, or jump around or have a red envelope or something, whatever. We are absorbing, and that's what I love, the multidiversity and multicultural things that we are in, because we can absorb little things, that enriches. And that's my humble opinion. Yes.
Lynn, what about you?
Yeah, it's quite interesting when you have all these calendars or all these faith or belief systems that you kind of following, especially like as a pagan, you know, we have usually like more lunar cycles or are used to more lunar cycles. So I am not really celebrating on the Gregorian calendar anymore. I mean, if I'm, you know, invited to friends and, you know, there's a New Year's party, I try not to go as an introvert. But obviously people are like, oh, Happy New Year. And I'm like, you know, I'll say it back, but I don't really celebrate on it. I still like there's a number shift and I recognize that with numerology, which we're going to pick up on that later, that there's a shift there. And I do mark it with, you know, drawing some cards or something. But I celebrate, I would say mostly at Samhain. So basically Halloween, when we go into this dark period, because it seems like that this is kind of when you think, or when I think like the year or nature is starting to die and go into this whole death cycle. But it could be, you could think like, when is a point to celebrate something? When does something end? When does something start? Does it end and start at the same time or not? Because if you're thinking like Samhain, when it ends, and then you have a whole period where you have just silence. And then at the other end, if you have only of Imbolc, which you have like now when things start to grow again and the light comes back, you could also celebrate there, you know, coming when the light is on the way back. But that's somehow not really what is we do. We go, okay, now we have the darkness, so we celebrate there, or we celebrate the darkness, we go into stillness. We have a whole transitional period where it's just quiet, and then we celebrate the light coming back. So in a way, it's New Year's twice, maybe?
Yeah, the transition.
But it's not, yeah, or it's not really about the years, really, because it's not, I think what's more important once you follow like a more like of an animist or natural cycle is that it cycles. So you have all these cycles, like 4 or 8 or how many you celebrate, and it's all about the sun and the moon, and not so much about, you know, now it's a new number, if that made sense.
Yeah, it
No,
does.
I mean,
Mhm.
for as the question, so to answer the question, I do celebrate it and I mark it as Samhain. This is the end. Like for me, this is an end. But the start for me isn't really after Samhain either, if that makes sense. So it ends with Samhain, but it starts again with Imbolc around there. And in between, I have like this period of silence and, well, celebrating that stillness and death in a way. They're going down. So
But
that's
that's
me.
Yeah,
beautiful. That's beautiful. I think that we need to learn more to be in silence and to give a space between two things happen.
Yeah.
Because
And this
it's
is
in
really,
that
yeah,
suspension of
absolutely.
silence that we can create new things. So yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah, and it's just been the past few years where I've been trying to more to focus more on these like natural rhythms and trying to align with them on this more of a shamanic path, you know. And it's really, yeah, I feel like it's really aligning me more. Like I'm just not trying to go out and do much in this in this more like yin, you know, energy of this stillness. And it feels a lot better to just be like, you know, go into myself and have my creative processes on the inside and you know, on my own with a candlelight or just writing or something. It's much,
But
yeah,
very
much.
organically, isn't it? It's like when we breathe, breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. So
Yes.
it's a reminder of, that even in nature, in our bodies, we need a period transition of
In
calm
between
to
spaces. In between
in between
spaces.
things.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is a tradition that's called Hapa that is like a sort of meditation that is about the creation, the silence in between. If you have a sentence, you pronounce one word. If the space that give
Yeah.
birth to the other word, so it's
Right.
ha, pa. No,
Yeah.
so it's going between, and they say that the origin, is the source, the sense of what we are, is in the middle, is in the silence. So yes, that resonates a lot with me. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lynn. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Lucy, what
totally
about you?
makes sense. Yeah.
Mine is probably similar to Lynn, to be fair. I do if they invite me out, and obviously to family and friends, I suppose, when we transition into the new Gregorian year, I always give a Happy New Year, Happy New Year. But the more personal New Year, and I guess the most authentic, if I can use that word, the New Year for me will be again at Samhain, which is probably also, despite how much I love summer and I love the sun, Samhain is probably one of the most favorite part of the year as well. I guess
Yes.
because there is so much magic and everything is less linear, I suppose. There's a mystery to Samhain and that particular part of the year as well. Yeah. I do also completely resonate with what Lynn shared and where you're coming from, in terms of a bit of a retreat in between Samhain and Imbolc, and an actual opening, I suppose, in Imbolc. Yeah, because it resonates with me. I think I treat Samhain with the same level of fireworks that one would during the Gregorian New Year. So there would be like the ritual, the accountability of the previous year, the hopes and the intentions for the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also do kind of as a like my recap. I do with Samhain. Yeah, it's
Mm.
like also what am I letting die? What can go.
Yeah, I think I'm also a bit selfish when it comes to New Year's because I take every excuse to celebrate one. So when it comes to the Gregorian, especially because I work a lot with the tarot, I will be like, okay, let's do for the new Gregorian year tarot cards and messages from the spirit realm. Then there's Samhain, obviously, but then, like we said, there's a lunar influence in our traditions. So when I started to use a calendar that matched the lunar year, or well, the lunar cycles, now I work with a calendar with the lunar cycles, and then I have to celebrate the new lunar cycle, which I try to choose to the new moon cycle as close to Samhain as possible. And then there will be the astrological new year, which I also, because I love astrology and that particular realm, I also tend to celebrate. Oh yeah, new astrological year, more reason to celebrate.
So many reasons to celebrate. It's just great. It's just like make all of life a celebration. Like
Yeah.
it's good. Yeah, mark everything. What about
I
you,
don't know.
Amelie?
I don't know. I see, like, obviously I also like Samhain, and I do definitely, like, I'm on the same page as Lynn and Luigi because I think we were like a bit pagan there, and it has that similarity. I kind of see Samhain as like the end somehow, but as in like I think a lot of people see the end of kind of year almost like a bad thing, but I think it's quite nice to recap what you kind of achieved throughout the year, and it's also like it's a celebration, but it just feels more personal to me. And when I'm thinking about New Year, think about I'm thinking more about like being around other people and celebrating as such. So for me, like I never thought like of Samhain as a new year for me. It's more like an end of the year with like the celebration of like just enjoying what you kind of like accomplished throughout the year, and obviously all the spooky stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
It has always been like my favorite time, and not to mention like I really enjoy wearing like clothing as well. Like it's when you can like be cozy. It's so silly, but it does like that whole aspect of it. When it comes to New Year for me, when I hear New Year, I'm thinking about like being around other people, and for me that feels more like the spring. So for me the real kind of New Year is more when in March, like the spring comes, and when you want to be outdoors more often, it just feels more like you feel more social, and you want to like do things with other people. And yeah, you hear birds and all of that. This is what I feel like that's kind of like new year for me.
Yeah, it feels like we are all kind of or we not skipping winter, but that winter isn't really included in when we're counting the year, like it was ending with autumn, and then there's the death cycle of winter, but that's not the new year either. Like it doesn't feel like that's the new year, right? And then okay, but the new year starts when life starts again. But it's quite
Yeah.
interesting, isn't it? If you think of it like that, like it's kind of excluded or somehow on the outside, or it's different.
Yeah, I guess like life does start even when we don't see it, but we just don't see it.
Well, that's true. We have the gestation period, so life has started, but you don't see it. That's a very good point.
It is when
Yeah,
there's
it's like,
Being made. Life is being made after the death of the year, but
yeah,
it's not being birthed until the spring.
exactly. So that's why for me, like New Year is like that is the birth because it's something new coming. Well, that doesn't like exclude me from like, I mean, you still recognize there are things happening wintertime.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like, yeah, New Year, I just find it's such a social thing in my mind. And yeah, I guess like the calendar New Year, I normally just don't like, I don't care. I'm normally at home, and what I've been doing for the past few years just to like go out in the garden and have a nice fire and just sit by the fire. But it's not specifically like because it's like the calendar New Year. It's, I guess, because everyone is celebrating. And I know everyone will ask me, like, what did you do over the New Year? And when you say, like, oh, nothing, people think that you're a bit crazy, which
Or
I don't
very
really
sad and
care.
pathetic.
I love to
Sad,
nothing.
pathetic.
I don't do anything on the 31st of this. I love to watch the fireworks because I think they are beautiful, but in television, I don't going out. And by myself, I like to be alone that day. I don't like to share it with people, It's my enjoyment of whatever it means, the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. I think that is private, is personal, it's like giving birth, it's like, yes. So if you are giving birth, you don't want an audience in front of you,
Or you're just
looking at
making
you.
the child. You don't really want an audience there normally either,
No.
normally. So it's a little private, yeah.
But
don't
I
know.
don't mind people celebrating, when they are doing fireworks and they are kissing and hugging and over emotional, that I don't understand why. But I found it cheerful. I found it naive and sweet, So I like when people are happy and when they are celebrating whatever they believe are. So if you participate or you don't want to be part of it, it's your choice. I think we should have all the choice and not being criticized because we decide to be in pajamas watching the TV alone. So yes, that's my opinion, about the subject of the
I find
celebration.
it funny because most of my friends or most people, they just don't question why the new year is when it is, because that's how it is. And it comes from just like questioning. And I think it's so strange to have it in the middle of winter. It just doesn't feel, there's no logic to it for me. And I think for us that do like nature, I think that's just being so disconnected from nature in a way. But yeah, I guess it's like after Christmas, it's just this other celebration to look forward to for people maybe. I remember like once I was invited out, but I just ended up staying at home, and I remember I was in a really hot bath in my tub, and I had this like tiny little champagne that I got from work like a year ago, and I was like, why not? I'm just going to spend it in the tub, pour myself a little bit of champagne and just sit there. And I was probably sitting there for an hour. It was great. There was this meditation and, everything. It just like, it was like the most like purifying, but it wasn't just because it wasn't because it was like New Year. It was just because I just decided like, I'm not doing this because, you're supposed to celebrate. This is what I don't like, is like you have to celebrate. I don't like that. Like, don't tell me when I'm supposed to be happy or not.
But
Rebels
for
to
some
the end.
people, it's the only day they are happy. So, they'll be happy. But it's very funny because you mentioned it about the logic and the reasoning of the natural laws, and because it's 1 week after Christmas. But I remember quite heated conversation with a Jehovah's Witness a few years ago, who they don't celebrate Christmas or anything like that because they don't agree that the birth of Jesus is on the 24th or 25th of December. Because for them, the shepherdess who were, with the little lamps and things like that, visiting Jesus, they say that period is extremely cold in Israel, and the lambs are born in March. So for them, Jesus should be born in March and not in December. I say, who cares? I say, by then, at that moment, there was the Queen of England is still alive. So I say, the Queen can have 2 birthdays, so Jesus can have 365. Who cares? It's the consensus of what people believe or feel or that make them happy. I agree that for us, each one of us has a different meaning about when their new year starts for each one of us. But at the end of the day, we are interacting with other people from other cultures and the Gregorian calendar or whatever. But it's part of the collective psychic that we are all in. And I found that is beautiful and fascinating that we can have the freedom to say, I accept that is your choice, but it's not mine. We don't have the same meaning. But, if they invite us to drink champagne, I will say yes. Maybe deliver the champagne here and we'll have a hot bath, instead of interacting with other people. I think the point I would like to do is that what we believe is a new year is like the end and the transition and the beginning of a new cycle in our life is very personal.
Yeah, and also I think because nowadays we can travel a lot. Back in the day, it wasn't like we couldn't just fly everywhere, and now we're just so aware of so many different ways people celebrating.
Mhm.
And I think it's just really interesting. But like back in the day when we were like living in villages and looking at the stars and having, seasons and stuff, it was just natural. I guess everyone kind of like did the same thing because everyone had the same like snow, the same. And then now it's just really interesting because there's just so many other factors that comes in to like why people celebrating New Year. So, and obviously like when Christianity came in as well and the calendar, we started like counting days, it just became like a different layer to it all. So it's quite interesting to see how things evolve because I do believe that like thousands of years ago we did definitely celebrate like New Year. Probably not the same way, but it was definitely a celebration for sure.
Yeah.
Don't you guys think so?
Yeah. There's so much, and there's so much you could unpack. Like, so I'm just thinking like all the conquistadores. What is that in English? But like, like people going to mostly like white people, right? Going around the world and then spreading their
I was
culture in
thinking
places.
about that.
Yeah, where it doesn't
Mm.
make sense. I was thinking of Australia, like I was just thinking the southern part of the world. For example, Australia, where they're doing like winter celebrations, for example, Christmas, right? When it's actually in summer, and but still they're having the tree up and the lights, and it doesn't make sense to have like candle or like lights when it's already light. You do that in the dark times, for example, like things like that.
Yeah.
It's just so out of like balance.
Yeah.
But I don't know
It's
because
really
in Colombia we don't have seasons. It's a tropical country.
Yeah, right.
But yes, the conquistadores, the Spanish came and they destroyed all the native cultures and they imposed this culture. But, we're born in this culture and it's a mix. It's a mixture of things. And so it's like people, villages without memory, without a root, so we adapt. To whatever they say to us. If they say, oh, this is June and this called December, and for us it looks exactly the same. There is not seasons. There is not a change. The sun is at the same time up, the same time goes down. So, and there is not really like the beautiful things that you have here in Europe, that is the transition, and is the winter, and is the autumn, and is the spring, the coming up. For us, it's the same thing all the time,
I couldn't
So
imagine.
for that,
Wouldn't you have
for me, Christmas or New Year or whatever, it doesn't say anything because it's just what the priest and the pope say to us. The pope say jump, we say how high, how high. And that's it. So it
Oh
really
dear.
is not very relevant for
sounds
tropical
dangerous to
countries.
me.
But they
There's
kill
also
a
been
genocide bigger than the 20th century with the diseases and everything. They killed millions, and the cultures. They were history, the background, the spirituality, everything was destroyed.
That's an entire topic
There
on
is
its
nothing
own as
left.
well.
Yeah, so very little dots
What
here.
did you want to say, Luigi? You were going to say something.
No, it was also just to add to the conversation, like there's also been so many, well, I don't know how many, but there has been many reconstructions, even within the system that were later on established when you think about it. Like even when you think about even the Gregorian calendar, I suppose that went, I don't know at what point, but that it went from having 10 months only to having the 12
Yes.
months.
Yeah, true.
And even like in the pagan tradition, when neo-paganism came about in the 20th century, I believe at least, I won't be able to pinpoint the exact date. At the very beginning, we only had the original Celtic celebrations of the wheel, whether it was Samhain, Imol, Beltane, and Lunasa. But then the solar, the solar celebration, the solstices and the equinox came about. So there's always like a constant reconstruction. And I guess I mentioned this because time as we know it, time as we understand it, time as we conceptualize it, quote unquote, in a way, is just a construct, a creation of our own making, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
we made the measurements and the rules and the measurements already said that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
does time exist? There is a beautiful quote from Pinocchio, I think, a beautiful fairy tale, but they basically say, Lady Fairy, time does not exist. You're so right, Mediro. Time does not exist.
Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't, right? It's just, a lot of it is just concepts that some people made up at some point. Like you said, and you just mentioned like the 12 months or the 10 months. Roman emperors, also they decided that it's like it's gonna be called August because Augustus, and
Yeah.
and then he was just like, and then you just counted, and originally like also like with the names, and we don't think about that either. And now we're going on a tangent on the calendar apparently, but with like August and September is just the 7th month, and October is the 10th month, and then you got and but it's not because but because October means 8, and October, but it's number 10 for us now, and September, the 7th is number 9 in our like the way we count. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just snuck in another month at some point because they thought, it's not like astronomically it's not working out, so we need more days. So it's all just like it's very
But remember this year, February had 29 days.
right. Both
Oh,
this year,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you have
Yes.
29
Also,
days
we have to sneak it in there. Yeah, and
Yes.
Was that
it's like I think also in that there was a period where every month had, I think it was 28 or 29 days, like every month had it. And then just to balance it out, we added like this with 31 and 30.
on
So
my
that it will
calendar though?
somehow
It only
work out with the lunar cycles. Yeah. But
on my calendar though, it only has 28. Is this year the 29? Are we
maybe it
sure?
was last year.
I think, or maybe I'm mistaken.
I don't think
Who cares? It's
I
every
don't
4
think
years.
it's this year. It's every 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's this
No,
year
it's not
though.
this year. It's 28 this year. But
Okay. So
we're not there yet.
It
You're
was
like
last year.
ahead of
It was
time.
2024. It was
Yeah.
2024.
Right. Yeah.
24,
So it will be in
25.
2020.
Okay. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
24, and the next time it will be 2028.
28. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's my mistake.
Yeah, that is.
I never know when I'm.
No, I think that's really interesting, and I also think this whole calendar thing was also because of taxes. So it just became so like this is just like nature and then taxes, and then obviously people have to come to work. Just like time just became like smaller and smaller somehow. It was like months, and then it became like I had the days and then hours, and then it's just like such a strange construct. Yeah, I think like last year, I think it was like 2 years ago, we were discussing this as well, because I kind of made up my calendar with like 13 months instead, because I thought to me it made sense to go by the lunar cycle.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that if you're out in the woods without having anything, at least that's something that you can physically see, and you see that changing. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not super accurate because it just jumps, the days just jump here and there. But then during that time when I was like rabbit holing in that, I just thought like maybe actually, because the days are long, like when days are longer and nights are longer or shorter, what if like we say that, a day is 24 hours or like a day and a night is 24 hours. Maybe it's not like that at all. It just feels like things are just like shifting. I don't think that you can't just say like everything is just the same amount of hours all the time.
Yeah, because it isn't, right? I mean, it's the day. It's just from day, from when the sun gets up in the morning until the sun goes back down. Or in the northern hemisphere, then, or if you have in summer, it's just day all day. So, and then it's night all night. But it's still not. We still go to work at 7 or 8, and then we come back at 4. Although it's either day or night, depending on whether it's winter or summer.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a
But
reflection.
the same concept is for pregnancies per weeks. How many weeks? It's 40 weeks pregnancies, Very funny because in my culture, in the culture I was born, is per month. So the pregnancy is 9 months. If you are 6 months, you are 6 months, and 6.5 months or whatever. Here, no, they say, no, I'm week 30 or whatever. You start like, go 10 more weeks to come to how many months is that?
30 months? Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny how each culture, determine even the most sacred thing that is giving birth to another human being. Gestation is 40 weeks or whatever. So yeah, I think that
at the end of the day, I feel like because we're living in a world right now that is quite unnatural and everyone has work, we just calculating everything in a very logical way.
Wow.
But like back in the day when we did not have it, everything was very like according to nature, and seconds and minutes just didn't really exist, like that like calculating thing. You went to work whenever the sun was up, basically, did your thing. And I guess it must have been the same thing with New Year as well, thinking, because you see the seasons, or maybe not in Colombia though, but here anyway, like you see the seasons and you kind of go by that, not because there is a specific, it says so in this, I don't know,
what I realize
this
now,
tablet or something.
but
It's
what
sorry?
I realize now is all of us, when we ask what is New Year meaning for you, or when is New Year for you, we have is the concept of time. We didn't really emphasize for me, New Year's is when it's a new beginning for me, or when it's the cycle, but it's certainly that was more in this period of transition and coming back to create a new me or a new etap or period. We ended talking about time, about the regulation and the, the matrix, that the determination of this period, where is movement, or there are memories in that period, that is what we call time. So it's fascinating knowing that even that we are outside of the norm, somehow the collective is still calling us to bring the symbolic meaning of something for us in a question of time.
It's because we live in the world we live in. I blame society.
So will you call a month of the year, Emily?
Sorry?
Will you put your name in one month? For example, August, Augustus, and so on. Will you create a new calendar like, Emily, Lynn, Luigi, Adriana, instead of January,
Why
February, March,
not?
April?
Why not? Maybe we should create a completely new calendar and then just go with that. Maybe that would catch on.
So Luigi will be summer. So instead of saying summer, we can call it Luigi.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to think about my name associated to a time of the year. I don't know if I'm ready to receive such a homage.
I'm not important enough. I mean nothing. So no. We can give it to God. I feel like giving it to gods. I mean, I changed, for me personally, I changed the name of the month. So I use it like when I talk to people, I say January and February because some people know what I'm talking about. But to me, I don't really use those names anymore. I'm also more into like what I see outside and what nature is doing. So for me, for example, like what is February to me here is the month of what I call the month of first light. So I call it the first light, or just the light month, because in February used to be the time, or is still the time, when the sun comes back. here. So I go in that kind of cycle. And then in March is the next would be thaw moon, because then things begin to thaw here. And then we have like, and then we have grass and we have leaf. So I go in that kind of grass moon, leaf moon, and so on. So that's what I call the moons. And I've tried also to do like a 13 moon thing, but then it got too complicated in my head, because then I have to like relate to people. I have to use the 12 month, and I'm like, okay, but then when would the 13 month start, and how long, and then which day is it now in Lin calendar, and which day is it in everybody else's calendar, And I was not nerd enough to complete that project, so I am kind of going by our 12-month system still. I'm just calling the months my names mostly, and honoring the lunar cycles by celebrating them.
Mm.
Yeah, it does create a little bit of an issue when you go by your calendar. That's what I had the same thing, because like in your head it's like this is my month, and then you're talking to others and you have to be like, oh yeah, we are. I think because of my work, because I have to keep like, there's a lot of dates all the time every day, so at least I keep track of dates.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would keep track of dates at all.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking now, because I know, Luigi, you mentioned the like astrological insights that you tend to have. Anyone else, or Luigi, do you kind of do something astrological during the new year, or is that a big thing for you?
When you mean when the new astrological year comes around, end of March, beginning of April?
Yeah, like there must be, because that's kind of like the new year for you. So I assume that would be something you look into, or would you look into even when we have like the calendar new year of like 25, 26? Would you like feel that it would be interesting probably to have a look like what's happening with like the people around you who celebrate New Year at that
Well,
time?
I guess if I have to put like everything into either categories or like a top list, I suppose. I think my very top New Year celebration, like I said, will happen around Samhain, and that will be the most significant New Year. That's when I feel the transition. That's when I feel the death of the old me and the rebirth of, or at least the gestation period of the new me. I hope, hopefully, and then I join in. Like I'm crashing the party with the Gregorians, and during the end of 2020 whatnot, and the beginning of 2020 whatnot. So that would be like maybe number 3 in the list, or maybe number 4. Number 4, I guess, because then there is the lunar New Year and the astrological New Year, which would be kind of a solar New Year. And I don't want to put one on top of the other, but I guess I have sets of calendars for each one of them, which can come across as, oh, you're doing too much. But it helps me reflect, especially because as an individual, I enjoy patterns, and that's what I do a lot in life as well. I overthink, I overanalyze, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But when it comes to having like 4 sets of calendars, well, actually, technically 3, not 4, but with 4 celebrations, but only 3 sets of calendars, I enjoy viewing the patterns. So how do my pagan Sabbaths interact or differentiate from the solar astrological year, which is kind of an extension of the Gregorian New Year, but just not working from, let's say January 1st to January 31st, but mostly working with the beginning of Capricorn season and the beginning of Aquarius season and so forth. And how do they then interact or differentiate with the lunar calendar of the 13 cycles within a year?
That's interesting. Do you know what I just remembered something that we forgot to do in the beginning?
Oh, picking the
And the
card
card?
for the
Yeah.
Is
episode.
to pick the
Thinking
card.
about that.
I was just gonna send
Yeah.
Lucy a message because I mentioned it in the beginning, but then I was like, I didn't follow up on it. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Something
I
think
like
am
it's
that.
going to.
fine. I think it's fine. It's bound to
Yeah.
happen from time to time. And I thought that this was like a perfect, that if we draw the card now, then we can kind of maybe move on to
The
A new
some
astrological.
other
segment.
topics.
Yes, let's do it. Like
Yeah.
the Chinese. Can talk about the Chinese one.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that. So, Luigi, are
The
you ready?
Chinese?
Yeah. I already shuffled and I drew the card. It's here next to me. We're gonna reveal it towards
At
the
the
end.
end. Yes.
Okay.
Exciting.
Well,
Perfect.
so yes, so from something that was very personal now, I found fascinating is the Chinese calendar because the mythology is so beautiful, is so charming. Is the Jade Emperor realized that the people didn't have like organized settle of time. So the Emperor, the Jade Emperor, that is the ruler of heaven and the symbol of cosmic harmony, he decided to invite the animals in a race. And the race included crossing a river. So there is a lot of symbolism here because the river is our own life, isn't it? Animals, they are an archetype of different human emotions and qualities. And so when he invite the animals to cross, they say the first 12 determine a year because it entwines the cycle of the moon with the rhythm of the seasons and create a 12-year zodiac with each year being an animal. And there is according to the first ones, the order as they cross the river. So we can like use the symbolism of each of these archetypal figures. We can have a correspondence using the tarot to give it a more deep and more fun meaning about this. So the first animal that crossed, it was a very cheeky rat because she couldn't swim, so she asked the ox that he was very gentle and very kind if she could go in his back to cross the river, and he said yes. But as soon as they crossed the river, she jumped over and she ran to the temple first. So for that, the rat is the number one, and is clever, is creation, is resourcefulness, is mental agility, and she becomes in the tarot as the magician. So rat is the equivalent of the magician because of the characteristics of the person. Then obviously it was the ox second. So it was the sense of duty and endurance and tradition and the steady path. So he is the hierophant. Then we have the tiger. He represents the courage and the inner mastery and the strength. So he is the strength because the tiger, when he was crossing this huge and very caudelous and powerful river, he was struggling, but it was just by his willpower that he managed to cross the river by himself. Then there was the rabbit, and the rabbit is the high priestess because it's sensitivity, intuition, and quiet perception. Because the rabbit, he couldn't swim, but he could hop. So he was looking at trunks and stones and so on. He jumped and hop towards the other side of the river. So it's
That's me.
that sense
I'm the
of
rabbit.
being sensitive and being intuition of what the trusting that something will be there to hold it, you know. Then we have the dragon, that is the emperor, that is sovereignty, authority, and the divine ruler. And it's fascinating why the emperor, the dragon, was in first, being the most powerful and being the most fastest one because he could fly. But the dragon stopped in the middle of the traject of his path to help a village, to bring water to a village. And then he helped to blow in rocks and things like that and little trunks in order for the rabbit to be able to hop and, don't drown in the river. So for that, the dragon, despite his sovereignty and magnificence and so on, he was a divine ruler. So like the emperor, that he has, yes, power, but at the same time, compassion and, a sense of helping others. Then the snake came across and is the death. That is where we are right now, and the transition this week to the next one. And that was very tricky because the horse was galloping and he was crossing the river, and the snake hid in his hoof. So when they crossed the river, she jumped and she won the race before the horse. But it's that the transformation, the shedding, the endings of the situation is when she shed the skin, it becomes like a new being, So That is the archetypal, that the emotion that, that the lesson that brings into the year of the snake where we are right now. Then they have the chariot, that is the horse, that is movement, is destiny, and is directed by will. Then we have the three other animals that comes across is the goat, the monkey, and the rooster, that they collaborate and they work together. They built a raft and something like that to help to cross the river. The goat, that is nurture, that's beauty, that's fertility, that is gentleness, is the empress. Then the monkey is the fool, that's playful, is a genius, is risk, is curiosity, is spontaneity. And the rooster is judgment, because it's the awakening, the announcement, the true reveal. It's the one that announced the end of night at beginning of day. So is related to the judgment card. Then we have the dog. And the dog, despite of the loyalty and the moral clarity and the ethics, the dog start playing around with balls and little tweets, and he got distracted. And for that, he was nearly at the end of crossing the river. But the card that represents the dog is justice, for his sense of loyalty and ethics. And the last one is the pig. And the pig is a beautiful lesson, is the war card, because the pig, he decides to enjoy, to have fun, to fill his belly, to eat, to rest, so it was more like completion, the abundance and fulfillment. And for that, he was the last one of the cycle of the 12 years. So
Wow.
what is beautiful here is that every year you have the opportunity, not only for the people who are born on that year, that's born in horse, but their spirit, their influence, it will affect the whole humanity. So not only the person who is born in that year,
Raise
but
your hand, Luigi. 1 second. You wanted to say
Yeah, I was just
something?
gonna clarify, just to make sure that I didn't get it wrong. Was the rooster
judgment.
the judgment, and which one was the empress?
The empress is the goat,
The goat. Oh, okay.
because it's nurture, is fertility, is gentleness, is, the rooster is the one who just when is the end of the night and when is the beginning of the day with the cuckoo, cuckoo, the whatever roosters do. I'm not going to do the sound of the rooster, but you
It's also
That's
very
such a beautiful
culturally loaded.
legend.
I find it so interesting so far, just because there's with the correlations that you're bringing up with the tarot cards, and there's so much that to unpack. But I just found very interesting that what jumped out at me like right away is with the ox and that being connected to the Hierophant, but the Hierophant also being Taurus. So you have
Yes.
like this kind of double up that in both cultures, or in
Yes.
the Western and the Eastern, it's both
Yes.
like this animal with the oxen, or with
Yeah.
like the this calm. That is, we could bring in runes here as well, because then we are in Urus, which is also like the oxen, which is also the second rune, which is is also the second animal. This is the second rune. It's again, this is like a huge fun correlation here,
It's
and
a
then
beautiful rabbit hole.
it's
That
so
is
great. It's so fun.
wonderful.
Yeah, but then the second thing that snaked up on me, that was with the snake and death makes it makes sense with the shedding, but then death also being related to Scorpio, and then you
Yes.
also having these different shapes that Scorpio has in the thought or in the tarot with
Yes.
the scorpion, with the snake, and what was the other ones again, Luigi?
Eagle?
The eagle and the
Yes.
man, right? So it's like
Yes.
the different versions of the Scorpio, and the Scorpio also being an animal that sheds its skin like the snake, because it's an exoskeleton. So it's like also that is very like there's a big correlation there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's where
love
we
that.
go, because from the deep passages between death, that's the snake, to the chariot horse, it's an spiritual heart of the 2026, because the spirit of the horse is impetus, rebellious, moving, and when you add fire, because each animal is assigned one element, fire, water, metal, and wood, and so on. So what we have to take is that beautiful silence that you describe of the transition between the two periods, that is where we are today, right now.
Yeah.
Because on the 14th of February, it was 1314, it was a transition of Saturn entering Aries. And equally I will explain there is a correlation, and probably Luigi can help me more. And then we can see the association of the different cards as well. That is telling us the same pattern where we are now. So that in Rider-Waite-Smith, the key symbols is the skeleton in a black armor. That is the truth that cannot be avoided. The white rose banner in his flag, what is the white banner here, the white rose, is the purity of transformation. The fallen king is the ego that cannot survive the changes. The child and the maiden is the innocence that accept that power resists. And the sun rising between the towers is a rebirth. The rebirth is a guarantee, all the symbolism is there in the card. That is the snake. The snake knows that by shading her skin, she will rebirth, that she will still alive. And the skin that is too small, that it cannot grow, is like that king, that ego that cannot survive the change. So in astrology, this card represents Scorpio, as you were told, and the ruler is Mars. So it's this, the strength and the power. Oh, that roar that is like visceral and wild, that we can see the power in the snake. So the theme here will be the eliminate what is false so life can regenerate. So the year of the snake, that is the transition between 2025 to 2026, that is ending now in February 17, is that we have to compose the past. It's like a cellular change, inner alchemy before the movement. The Chariot and Rider-Waite-Smith is as well very graphical. I think it helps to understand even more, because the Chariot here is the armored charioteer. There's discipline, there is will. The star canopy is the destiny aligned with the cosmos. The square on the chest is the spirited ground into matter. The black and white sphinx is the opposing forces integrated. But what is very particular in this card is there is no reins. The charioteer is not having control of the sphinx. It's just having the control through consciousness and no force. There is no that element of dominating and taking one direction. It's just allowing that inner wisdom, that alignment to the cosmos to guide you. And I think that is one of probably the teachings that is telling us in this horse year, is that despite that impetus and that force and that inner fire and being rebellious and, constantly motion, is saying, allow yourself to be guided, transform yourself first, allow that ego to stay behind, shed out all the things that doesn't work. All that inner work, introvert work that we have done for the past year, it's time to leave it behind and start creating motion, but a controlled motion, So in astrology, if I'm correct, the charioteer is Cancer and the ruler is Moon. Yeah, I'm correct that? Okay, I asked Luigi because he's my teacher. So the theme, it will be like an emotional mastery that creates a true forward motion, moving with a sense, with all that energy the horse is going to give to us this week. We have to be careful to measure it, to learn how to align it and to control it, because the fire horse is pushing you to be a leader, to manifest things, to be exuberant, to be like a ruler. It's like the stallion in the show that look at me, how powerful I am. But let's use the teaching of the snake, or leave the things that stop us, the thing that was holding us back, let it go in February 16 or whatever, in these days that we have, to start that transition of that wisdom, to put what we plant in movement, in action. So this year will be the year of the action. The year of the horse and chariot is like movement after healing, direction after surrender, destiny activated through feeling, not to ego. And why this is so profound is because spiritually, the order means you cannot move forward carrying an old identity. Real action only begins after inner transformation, and true will is born from emotional truth, Cancer, and not force, that's Mars. So the transition between 25 and 26 is an end that it will just be a metamorphosis with a beginning that is a purposeful motion, the product of that metamorphosis. So that is the teaching of this, that we have to learn to act like sentient, like advanced beings with new beginnings, not in an impulsive fire, no, like without a direction. This is an invitation. What is this year is inviting us is to act with a certain degree of discipline and using the transformation that the beautiful snake gave us. So to me, that is a beautiful sense. And it's very funny because as we were seeing correlations with the other cards and the other symbolism, in February 17 is the Chinese New Year, but also there is an eclipse. It's a solar eclipse that day. So it's an annular solar eclipse, so a ring of light suspended in darkness. A solar eclipse is not an ending, it's a hidden beginning. So when we're talking about winter, that, the seed is there. So it's waiting to be awakened, is a seed placed in the shadow. So in the lunar year of the fire horse, doesn't open quietly, it's opened with a fire in the sky. And 2 weeks later, we have in the night of the 3rd of March, the moon enters into the earth and shadow and turns deep red. So it's a total lunar eclipse, the ancient blue moon. So we have the change of calendar between the snake and the horse. Then we have the eclipse, 2 eclipses, the solar and the moon eclipse. And on the 13th of February 14, we have Saturn entering into Aries. And that it will last 2 years until the April the 28th. And Saturn, that is the world card, yes? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Entering Aries, that is the Emperor. Emperor, again, it has that influence over us. That,
it's like a lot. Yeah, it's very
yeah,
powerful.
so that sense of discipline, a sense of, think big, but at the same time be restrained, And Saturn is what it does, because when it enters into Aries is that the fact that discipline and rigid and that sense of honesty and integrity that Saturn pushes. And Mars, Aries, that is the Emperor card, that is a sense of discipline and courage, but strength, but measure and discipline and ruling, is inviting us as well. Like the Chinese horoscope is telling us that, yes, it's a lot of power, a lot of force, a lot of energy coming in, but take the teachings and the metamorphosis and leave the ego behind with the snake and transform your life as the charioteer, guided by consciousness and not like a crazy things going, because the things is black and white, so it's two opposites under the control and the guidance of that wisdom that you have obtained. So there are 3 different situations. Eclipses, well, is the change of the Chinese calendar, is the eclipse, is the change in the astrologically Saturn moving into Aries. That is determining the same message, the same advice. Yes, use all the force. There is a lot of force. We have the Emperor, we have the horse, we have all these energies in there. But be measured, learn that wisdom, ascend and evolve, in a manner that is through consciousness and not through force.
That
And
was
that's
really,
the
that was
message.
really, really interesting. There's some things I want to hook in there, like what you pointed out with the chariot cards, that there are no reins. That just really stuck out to me, and I was just like thinking, if you're sitting in a chariot and you're having some creatures or beings, pull you or move you, but you're not having any reins. It's really about the surrender, right? It's like
It's
so
the
much.
surrender,
It's
but
really,
at the same time, remember that is the start, this cosmos is guiding you. So
yes,
it's your inner force, your own consciousness that is guiding the animals.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And you can only do that once you have actually reached a certain point in your learning or in your life that you can
Yeah.
actually do that, right? So and it's like I feel like this combination of that you're actually surrendering um to your own self and to your own power, for lack of better word, your own
Yeah.
ability and your consciousness, and you're surrendering to your own higher being, if you will, I would say. That
Yeah.
really was I'm just an interesting thought. I will just put that there as an interesting thought.
But that is for that the importance of being aware and
Yeah.
have that like awakened moment and be grateful to the snake. Because I know that all of us, we have the transition of the past year and these 2 months, like going deep in working in our own self and discovering new things, discovering our guides, having a better communication. It has been an internal work. So it's like the influence of the snake has been working on all of us without even us being aware the snake was working on us. So,
Yeah.
but now today, having these days with the Saturn movement and the eclipse that is coming and so on is an opportunity, a reinforcement, like a cosmic energy that is going to help us to say, how much of the shade of all this you're still hanging on.
Yeah,
And
and there's the second
be
thing that
honest
I
to
wanted to
yourself
hook in.
and shed
Yeah.
it, because when you shed that, all that force of the magnificent stallion will take you without limits to wherever you want to go. But
Yeah,
you
the
have to
second
shed
thing
the
I was
skin
gonna hook
first.
into was like when you this thing about you cannot move on or you cannot move forward on your old self or on old ideas. And I found that very very fitting because I'm actually like this year is like 20 years since I finished school or high school or whatnot and got my the absolvation. Nobody or I don't think anybody from my life back then has my contact information except for one person. And she reached out to me just a few days ago and said, "Hey, I got this email because they're trying to organize like a 20 years after. They had like a 10 years after thing
Yes.
and I wasn't
Yes.
there for it, obviously. And now they're having a 20 years thing." And she's like, "Can I send you the email?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can send me the email." And I'm like, I'm reading through it and they're trying to organize who can come. And it sounds all very like, it sounds nice, but I'm also like, I have nothing whatsoever to do with these people. And
Yeah.
I don't like any of, I had my few friends, right? But I did not have a great time
Yeah.
growing up in this school with these people around me, right? And I don't really care. I don't care about them. I have nothing in common, or maybe there's something, but I doubt it. I don't care about these people.
But
All
nothing
I
to
care
prove.
about, yeah, all I care about would be to see some of my teachers again. Because when I left, there were some teachers who were really important. I was young, right? You leave school when you're like 18, 19. And now 20 years later, I would really love to to show them my appreciation for the few that actually I know really did something for me, or that I know that actually really imprinted in a sense. So if they were to come, I would really like to go, but it's just for them. I don't want to have anything to do with all the other people. And so I'm like, this just happened like yesterday that I got the email, and I'm like, you know what? Or today, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, I also would have to fly to a different country and stuff. It's like, it's very unlikely I'm going to go. I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to. And then I thought, if I had been like super rich, because I'm so eclectic, I'm so weird. I've been like the weird kid in class and everything. I would obviously dress up extremely different. I'm not like this. I would go as the fucking witch of the, I'd be like full feather or something. I would be, so that people know when I come in that they know, oh, it's her, they will know. But I'm probably not gonna go. But I thought if I were rich, I think I had this idea that I would just have like a statue manufactured of me, or like an hour and ice sculpture or something with a weird, like also like a weird outfit, just place it in the middle of the school and be like, here, I'm not showing up personally, but here's me, so you can all think about me.
You can bask in my presence.
I'm like, yes, bask in my presence, but I'm not actually present. I'll just enjoy my life over here. Yeah.
No, but if I
Yeah.
could have a reflection about all this beautiful story about the Zodiac and the Chinese, the Jade Emperor, I don't think that it was never only about animals in the sky, but it was about us, and us with every period of our life, we have, all these archetypal individuals that rules our life. So because every life must cross a river, every soul must shed a skin, and we have to, I don't know, in our heart decide whether we will remain in the past or step into the fire that is the becoming, what is coming in, So as the fire horse rises and Saturn lights the path of courage and strength and do what is right for us, because that is what is the saying. We maybe remember that we are not here simply to watch time pass, as we were saying about the New Year's and the thing like that, but we're here to move with it, to grow through it, and I think to become who we truly are. So this year of the horse, if we had did our work, or we still shedding our skin, at least realizing what the thing that we want to get rid of.
Yeah. I wanna
That
get rid of the
force,
past.
that fire, let it burn, burn, go burn
Yeah.
the school.
Yeah, I'll go with fucking torches. This is what I learned from the Vikings. Hey, the school actually is also attached to or part of a Catholic big church, not like even a
Yes.
church, like a big thing.
Oh,
Yes.
It used to be, it also used to be prison at some point. It went through changes, and it's
Same thing.
yeah. So it's really, and we had to go to church with the whole class, like I don't know, like not all the time, but it happened. It was very neatly tied together. So I was just like, nope.
I feel sad for you guys, because my nuns in a Catholic school, going to mass, it was voluntary. We even have a smoking room where, if we had the permission from our parents, we could smoke in the school.
Yeah, this was very different from.
Wow.
That was really lovely. Like, that was really interesting. Also, I heard, because of the Zodiac, I heard a story, and I'm not sure whether this is a story that's actually told or not, but the story about the cat, that the cat was originally supposed to be in the Zodiac, but he couldn't be bothered. But he was, I think maybe at the river, he was like, nah, it's just, nah, I don't. I said, nah, I'm not gonna go to the Jade Emperor. I don't care. I'll leave. And then the rabbit took the spot of the cat. Is a story I've heard.
But
So
I
I'm
thought
like,
that beautiful that the emperor invited, because he wanted to create more like order for people's time, to give them a sense of guidance, and he chose animals, no people, to go and cross the river. And and it's beautiful that, because funny enough, the wood snake gives transition to the fire horse. So as well, again, there is things that you can go in the rabbit hole and feel and sense and go deeper and seeing the symbolism and the transition.
The reason why I kind of disappeared in the background quickly is because when you were talking about the horse and the chariot, I know, like, I always mention the deck that I work with, the Arcana of Ice and Fire. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of this earlier? Oh, like this is the deck, and I quickly wanted to show you the chariot card
Okay.
of the deck.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah. Fantastic.
oh wow.
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is called the horse. It's just horse.
And in fire.
So it's in fire.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Really cool.
As soon as you were like horse chariot, I was like, hold on. And this is pretty cool. So this is basically in 2 days time. This is where we are.
That's where we are. And embrace
Yeah, I just
it.
had to share it.
Let's embrace that beautiful force and power and courage, but it can be a raw energy, impetus, rebellious, a movement. But if we use the teachings from the snake, we can integrate both and we can be very powerful and leaders, because that's what the horse invites you to be a leader. So give it some sense and transformation and guidance, and, the teaching from the snake, use it, because the power of the energy of the horse, it gives you the abilities and the sense and the strength and the luck to realize and manifest what you have been transforming in the past year.
Would this be, I'm having in my deck, just because we're like talking about this, so in one of the decks I'm using, but this is again the Burden's deck of Stephanie Law. And I just pulled out the Death card and I pulled out the Chariot card to look at them. So in the Death card, you kind of have like a phoenix with a death skull. Yeah. So this one. And the Chariot card is like horses,
Oh,
unicorn
beautiful.
being
Yes.
pulled, and the one who's actually the charioteer is a phoenix.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh,
So
that's
but
really
that's
cool.
beautiful.
yeah, yes. So that is
That's the same
yeah,
message. Look
that's very
at the
lovely.
same message in the stars, in the Zodiac Chinese, in the tarot, is the same message. So it's up to us that if 3 different systems, are telling us the same, that is better to follow the advice.
Maybe this is a good point for Luigi to reveal the card of this tonight's episode, so we can discuss that.
What do we think he may be?
I mean, if
Who
it's the
knows?
Just
chariot,
because it's you, it's probably it's.
oh, it's the Ace of Cups again.
Oh my goodness! I wish I bet money on it. Emily, it's the King of Wands.
Oh,
Oh wow!
that was my
Okay,
kind of
I was
quick.
for
Yeah.
tell us what you want to say about the King of Wands.
Well, I don't know, because basically the reason why we made that joke is because in the previous episode or segment, everybody drew fire cards except for me that drew a water card. So
Yeah.
I was also totally expecting for another water card to show up. But no, it's the King of Wands. I guess, again, the fire horse energy, so the element of fire, the restorative energy as well of that element to go with. I guess it's a sense of, you were talking about that, Adriana, as well, like accept the passion of the fire horse and let its power lead you to anywhere you desire to be led, but accept it via letting go and shedding the old, transmutating from the old skin and the old self. And I think the King of Wands has some aspect of it, isn't it? Like it must have come from a huge metamorphosis, the ability and the confidence and the embrace of such power, the power of Leo, the power of the sun. And again, I guess in the case of the King of Wands, it's also about having vision, and a good thing about vision in terms of spiritual studies or magic and so forth, we can have vision without seeing, isn't it? Like all of our dreams, all of our aspirations, as long as we can visualize them, they will be there in the physical vision down the line through transformation, through our hard work, quote unquote. But if we don't have any ethereal vision to begin with, what are we going to walk towards? So that's something to ponder on. But yeah,
I have a
feel like,
question, Luigi. There is the
yeah,
King. Does the King of Wands has any relationship with the charioteer, with the chariot, or not?
in a way, yes. It depends what lenses or what perspective you bring. Because if you use the astrological perspective, it can be the aspect of the mother and the father, or the husband and the wife, without giving it gender. Because the chariot would be Cancer, so the feminine, and the King of Wands would be Leo, so the masculine. So that could be that representation. But the chariot, for the tarot major arcana as well, it's also an embodiment of the alchemy, of the alchemical journey and the alchemical process to begin with, but ultimately of the sacred child, the spiritual child, the child of, again, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And so is the King of Wands, not just specifically the King of Wands, but also all of the kings. So you have the child aspect reflected in both the chariot as well as the King of Wands in this case. So you can use that perspective.
Okay, thank you.
In case anybody was wondering what episode we're referring to with the other one, that was our in bulk episode. So you can go check that out.
Yes, thank you for that.
yes.
Any last thoughts on the King of Wands?
In my head, I was just thinking King of Wands would be the Prince of Wands in the soft deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's maybe another.
And
This is another thing.
and I'm just thinking about that because that's the chariot, right?
Yeah.
He's in the
Yes.
chariot kind of. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Yes.
Yeah, that's maybe another episode of the big historical debate between the kings and the princes
Kings and
and
the princess. Yes.
Yeah.
the knights.
Yes.
Conversation.
Yes, there's some different kind of, I know, but we were well, Adriana was asking you, Luigi, about like, is there a connection with like the King of Wands and the Chariot? In my head, I was like, where's the Prince of Wands?
Yeah.
because I was thinking, well, that's the kind of like
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
So in a way, that was also the perfect card for this
That was
episode.
we
Yes,
just
it was perfect.
nailed it once again. That's so great. All right. Well, thanks
Yay!
everybody. That was a great episode once again. I hope you had fun. Just drop us some comments below, and see you in the next wormhole.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
We are the voices of the Occultinarium. Welcome to the rabbit holes.